Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you're watching. Welcome to Bridging the Gap. I'm your host, Council Glenn.
Hey, William V. Thompson.
As you can see, we got some new equipment, man. We're trying to step our game up a little bit. We now got a couple microphones and got the camera to be able to record through the way we need it. We tried a different camera the last two
Yeah,
episodes, and
yeah,
it wasn't as great a
yeah,
quality as the
yeah.
first camera. So I think we're official now.
All right, we're official podcasters. All right, I like it.
So we're coming at you today live with episode 6, and I'm gonna pull my notes up and just do a brief recap, if you can, of episode 5.
Okay, episode five again. We did what's called the C5 system, and the C5 system is really a
Hmm.
summary of the five major things that you're going to learn in these podcasts over the next weeks ahead. We talked about number one, the necessity to conform to sound financial principles, and we're going to spend some weeks ahead giving you some more of those principles. And then we came back in step two of the C5. We talked about controlling spending, or literally running your personal finances like a highly successful business. Then in the C5, we talked about step three, which dealt with cutting TED. We
Hmm.
really emphasized the importance that if you're going to create cash flow, cutting taxes, cutting expenses, and cutting debt. And we're going to really dive deep into that in the weeks ahead to give you practical examples on what that looks like in anyone's life. Then in step four, we talked about creating money.
Hmm.
We've identified really about 50 different ways to create money.
Hmm.
But for the sake of the podcast, again, in the weeks ahead, we're going to give you 12 of our favorite ways to start creating money right now. And finally, the ultimate goal of playing Monopoly, which is what the C5 is designed to do,
Hmm.
we're going to show you how to capture assets on sale, how to literally buy about four different categories of assets and let them make money. And like Council said today, we're going to start with questions that demand an answer. There's just some powerful questions that you really have to ask yourself to give you vision, focus, and clarity as to why do you do what you do.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. So the questions that demand answers. Tell me, kind of, where this concept of the thought process in this came from.
Yeah, I have learned over time that it really came out of Proverbs 20 and 5 again. And let me just read it to you. It says this: though good advice lies deep within a counselor's heart, the wise man will draw it out. So, really, what it's saying, counsel, there's some smart people out there that can help us, can coach us, can guide us. And a lot of people want to sit down with them and say, okay, tell me, counsel, everything you know about marketing. I'm ready, man. I'm ready. And you're like, well, come on, dude. But I've learned that if a person prepares to meet you as a real estate investor
Hmm.
or a marketing strategist, if I come with questions that I've thought about that I feel like help me connect the dots, then I can sit down in probably 30 minutes or less, ask you those poignant questions, those direct questions. And because it's so much on the inside of you or a coach, you're able now to give me insights versus me saying, tell me everything that you know, because you know, as a coach, as a mentor, I am not serious because I did not take time. So the short answer is there's so much inside of people who want to help you and can help you. You have to ask the right questions of them and yourself to get the right answers or the best direction.
So there's some homework that need to be done on the front end.
You got to. Without that, it says to me, you're not serious.
Right.
When
Right.
someone comes and talks to me, I know they're serious, not because they made the phone call or set the appointment or paid the money. I know they're serious when they come and says, hey, William, um, whenever you're ready, I do have a series of questions for you immediately because I'm now on their agenda and I'm now helping them fill the gaps. And of course, they're going to reach on the inside of me and pull something out that maybe I learned 17 years ago, forgot about it, but it's applicable to their goals and dreams.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. So how to draw it out. So asking the right questions, doing a little bit of research. Anything else?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is because it's so much inside of successful people.
Yeah.
And again, we just can't sit down and tell you everything we know about marketing or investing. It's those questions that lead us to understand how you're thinking, what's important to you. So, again, you have to ask the right questions of them and more importantly, of yourself.
Got it. Got it. Okay. What's the next one in the questions that demand
We will
answers?
go. The very first one, I want to be very general, counsel. I want to start with life.
Okay.
And this is life because so many people don't have focus in life. They'll tell me, William, count, I want to make money. Okay, how? Man, I don't care, man. Just I want to make money. And you see how shallow that is. You see how vague that is. You see how that person's lack direction. But here's the question for life you have to answer, ask yourself. What do I want so badly in life that I refuse to live without it? And what's my passion that can help me get there? Now, see, that's a powerful question. In other words, you first of all have to ask, and I'm going to ask you today. So, counsel, here we go. Beautiful wife, two growing young men. Tell me, what do you want so bad in life, man, that you have just made up in your mind? I am not going to live without it. It's going to be legal. It's going to be ethical. It's going to be glorifying to God. My kids are going to know what I do and be proud of me. But there's certain something you want so bad in life that you will not lose with. You will not live without it.
I just want to leave a legacy for my family. Growing up without my dad,
I got you.
I didn't. It was nothing to pass down. Not a skill,
Hmm.
not a trade, not a
There you go.
investment.
Yeah.
I didn't. It wasn't a jump start like
Hmm.
some parents leave their kids. Whether it's hey, you got a couple houses
I
or
got you, man.
some equity in the house that we've
Yeah.
been living in is paid off. I just want to leave them a solid foundation for my kids and my
And you
grandkids.
refuse to live without that.
Refuse,
What about
refuse.
when things get hard?
It just keep pushing through.
What about when you try to do one, two, and three, and then it fails?
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
That's right. That's it,
You just
man.
got to keep going.
Yeah. And my answer to that too, from the other side of the bridge, it goes back to I want to create financial systems that give anybody hope. Because, like you said before, there's some Council Glens out there. There's some William Thompson, same scenario, who feel like I don't know where to begin. But my passion in life is to develop things like Bridging the Gap and more things where people can plug into a system and that system gives them the possibility to live their dream life. No more excuses, no more lying to themselves, no more saying I don't want to do. And once I understood that passion, once I understood what I wanted to do, then the passion became obvious.
Right.
The passion became financial literacy. It
Okay.
became financial literacy. And as you reminded me a couple of weeks ago, to the common man. See, when you go online, everybody's talking to the person who wants to jump out tomorrow and make $100,000 a month. That's only about 5% of the population, if that many.
Yeah.
But it's the common person that I want to reach to give them hope because they can plug into a system and they can win with it. So that's what I want so badly in life. And I refuse and will not live without it. And hopefully you'll find that thing in your life too.
And if you can, I know the answer to this question, but the people may not. Kind of, if I talked about growing up without a father,
Mhm.
single family, single mom. Um, you didn't grow up with a silver spoon either.
I didn't. I didn't. Well, life looked good from the time I was probably from birth to 15. You would think that we had a great household, decent house, did a lot of traveling, parents had fancy cars, owned businesses. But something happened when my mom had a stroke. And that changed our family dynamics. It changed me for the better. It changed my dad for the worse because my mom couldn't do wifely things like she used to.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad started having affairs. He just sort of almost abandoned the household. And at that time, I had to grow up. I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to I had to learn how to help my mom. But it matured me. So the things that maybe my father would have given me went to another lady, went to another household of family. Sure, I was bitter for a while, no doubt about it, because I'm looking at things they're doing that I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
But what it ultimately did was it created a fire inside of me where I forgave my dad. My dad came to become a Christian. But more importantly, it developed and matured me. And it gave me a mindset to say that I want to put things in place so that I can take care of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because before my mom passed, my wife and I built a house. She moved in and she lived with us 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's those kinds of things that a bad growing up situation helped me overcome. And I knew my parents knew nothing about money because my mom was a nurse at Cone Hospital for 20 plus years. And she probably had less than $5,000 saved up after 20 years of working.
Wow. Tell us a story about when you were going to college.
Oh, college story. Played a little ball back in the day and had a few offers, but I just decided I wanted to focus in on my education. And I remember over the weekend, maybe a Friday or Saturday, probably it's Friday evening, saying, "Mom and Dad, I've decided to go to this small private school. It's about $2,000 to $3,000, I think, a semester, maybe a year." And my parents sort of looked at me and went, "We don't have the money." And I went, "Huh?" I said, you got a Corvette out there, you have an Eldorado, you guys have these businesses, and I just want $2,000 to $3,000. William, we don't have any money. And the reason why is because we bought things, the clothing, the jewelry, and we didn't think much about your college career. You're on your own. Again, another wake up call. As one of the writers said, the worst of times, but also the best of times, because it let me know what path I did not want to follow.
Right, right. And I think that's just a good um, background for people to know
Yeah,
that,
man.
you didn't come up with a trust fund
No, man. No,
or, get 17 houses when you turn 18 or
didn't
anything like
happen, man.
that. So,
Didn't happen.
yeah,
Didn't happen.
yeah. Okay. And what was the next one? I know we talked about life.
Life. Mhm.
Okay.
And I
And
think the next thing count is going to be your jobs. Okay. Ultimately, we want to help you all fire your boss, but don't go do it today. It's a process. Okay. So here's the question that demands an answer as it relates to your job. What will this job teach you that will help you unlash your potential? Okay, you're on a job, you're probably underpaid, you possibly don't like it, you don't enjoy it, you may be stressed out. But while you are there, what can or will you let this job teach you that will help you not only become a better person,
mhm.
but to be able to succeed financially in life? Okay. Now, what happened to me is that when I got out of college, big eight accounting firm came to our school and small Methodist school I went to, and they had never come to little old Greensboro College. Shout out to GC. And they came, and I was the first person ever to work for a big eight firm. That school was 100 years old. Went to work there, just totally overwhelmed because my parents, my school maybe didn't prepare me for big eight accounting.
Mhm.
I got fired, but I went to the next job and I said, this will never happen again. And in that next job, I became a comptroller over a couple of plants out in Tennessee.
Mhm.
So everything dealing with their financial affairs fell to me. And what I did was at that time at early 20, I began to think, Council, all right, I know I don't want to do this job forever,
Mhm.
but what can I learn to help me really fulfill my passion? So I began to look at that company like it was my company. And I began to learn everything I could about cash flow, about investments, about budgetary strategies, about processing.
Mhm.
And literally, I got paid 2.5 years to really prepare me for this time, because what I did for them back in the 80s, wow, 1 second, 80s, woo, woo, okay, I'm fine now, is what I do now in 2021 and moving forward. Okay.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I remember one of my last full-time jobs, I was working for a self-storage company in
Mm.
Burlington. And every month they would give us the reports. They show like the revenue and
Oh,
expenses.
you got to be kidding.
Every month they gave it to us.
Oh, boy.
And then compared it to the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So we saw the growth that we were creating every single month, what percentages we were, growing the revenue. And my pay didn't do that.
About to ask you about that. Yeah. About to ask you.
My
Yeah.
our pay stayed the same, but the revenues were I mean, every month we were
Yeah.
hitting a new
I can believe it, man.
revenue
I can
high
believe
every
it.
single month. And I remember the lady I was working with at the time, we just kept saying, man, if we ever leave, they ain't gonna know what to do
Hmm.
because we were doing so well.
Yeah.
But it just showed me how systematized
Well said.
the business was, where they literally had benchmarks and they were tracking everything, the number of units sold, what was like we knew come May and June we were up the street from Elon that
Okay.
the college students were coming, so they would make sure that they had all the 5 by 10s cleaned out
Hmm.
and reserved ready to go for them because they'll rent it for the whole summer, pay in
Gotcha.
full right up front. So those are some of our best revenue producing months. And they kind of tailored everything around it. I mean, they really ran it. I mean, 5, 6 locations, but they ran it
Wow.
tight. But yeah, that I just noticed like, man, that that opened my eyes. My pay stayed the same.
I get you. And you said a word. You said the business was
Yep,
systematized. Now, I'm assuming that when you left, the business crashed and burned, right?
absolutely not.
Okay. And the reason why I didn't was like Council said, they had a system. One person went away, they plugged another person into the system. And that's something we're going to talk about briefly on today. Also, the importance of having a business with systems
Hmm.
so that when people say, hey, we can do this and go their separate way, your business does not miss a beat. And if anything, you may become more profitable because that new person is hungrier coming in and more teachable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, that was interesting. All right, questions that demand answers. We talked about life. We talked about a job. Next, I think you got one of my favorites.
Well, I'm going to pitch a lot of it to you, but I'm going to give you old school. This is the old school version, real estate investing. Whatever you do within time, you definitely want real estate to be a part of your game plan.
Hmm.
There are low level ways to get started without worried about your credit or your income, and there are upper ways, the flipping of properties, etc. But again, here's the question I had to ask myself getting started. I would always ask myself the question, is this property at least 30% above what you would call after repair value?
Hmm.
Okay. So if the property's
You meant
100
below, right?
below, I'm sorry, yeah. So if the property is going to be worth $100,000, the most I want to pay as a novice investor was going to be 70,000. Then
Hmm.
70,000, give me a 30,000 real spread. Then my next question was going to be, does this thing at least cash flow 30% of gross revenue? So let's say if this unit brought in $2,000 a month, let's call it a quad or whatever, a triplex, it brought in 2 grand a month. 30% of 2 grand is 600. So after I pay for everything, am I going to have cash flow of at least $600 a month? At least my 30/30 plan.
Hmm.
And then finally, is this property going to be easy to rent or maintain? Or if I wanted to flip it, flip it. And again, Cal is going to get into probably more details, if not now, later on. But those were the three questions that demanded an answer before I decide to write a check, move money from a self-directed IRA, whatever it may be. And those are the kind of questions, Council, that's forced me to really think because I'm excited about the deal. It's in a
Hmm.
great location. I've been scouting out the property for a while, but asking these questions really let me focus to see, does it meet my criteria and does it make sound investments? So that's old school. Talk to me about new school. How would the new school folks do it?
Oh man, wholesaling is the wave of the new school right
What in the
now.
world's wholesaling, man?
Finding a property that's probably distressed,
Okay.
maybe abandoned, has some issues with it, whether it's livable or not. Finding the seller,
Okay.
negotiating a discounted price with them, getting it under contract,
Okay.
and then turn around and find a flipper, somebody that may have the 30/30 plan like yourself, or another real estate investor.
Give me an idea. I know this morning or yesterday we were talking about you buying a house and a tree fell through
Yeah,
it.
so
You're buying a house with a tree. See, back in the day, man, we ain't buying no house with no trees falling through it. Talk to me about that.
so found a house. Actually, a deal finder found this
Uh-huh.
house for me. Sent me a picture of it with the address. Literally, a tree fell through the house, so it's almost split in half.
Oh God, the tree of the house, or both.
The house,
The house.
they
Okay.
got the tree out of it, but
Okay.
it's been open to the elements for some time now. For whatever reason, owners didn't repair it. So I looked up the address, found the owner, used some software to get their number, and called them up. And
Okay.
actually text them the whole time,
Mhm.
text message. Never talked to them, and just asked them about the property. Are they looking to sell it? And they said, yeah, we're looking to sell. Just been a rough time.
Yeah, man,
And they asked, what prices are looking at? And I said, tax value seems fair. The current tax value with the tree and everything
yeah. Okay.
was 20,000.
Okay.
Now the ARV of this house is probably somewhere in 140, 150 range if it was repaired,
Okay.
fixed. So they said, that seems fair. I think tax value is actually 20,900 to be exact.
Okay.
They said, can we make it 21, just to, make it work? I said, okay, cool. So send them the DocuSign. Again, never talked to them.
Okay.
Text message, emailed the contract. They reviewed it, signed it, sent it over. And so then what I turned around and did, again,
Mhm.
I have a house. It's not livable. A tree fell through it. Under contract for 21,000. So I called my list of cash buyers and say,
Okay.
hey, I got this house. Here's the address. Here's your pictures. Ride by it. Let me know what you think. A couple people say, oh man, you got to tear it down. Start over new. It's not worth nothing but the land. I had one investor who I've dealt with before. He
Okay.
said, "Hey, I like it, but I can only do my price was 30,000." He said, "I can do the 30, but I need to finance it."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, let me see what I can do." Called the seller, said, "Hey man, you know, the cost of rehab is going to be pretty high. Would you be willing to take a down payment and monthly payments over time to pay it off?"
Okay. Roughly, how much was the down payment? Roughly.
5,000.
Okay, 5,000 down going to the current owner.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So she get five, and then
Okay.
they'll get 500 a month until the 21,000 is paid.
Okay. Now, how do you gonna make money? I hadn't heard your name yet.
So I told my buyer
Okay.
the house is 30. He agreed to 30. He's putting 15 down.
Okay.
Out of that 15, the seller gets five.
Okay.
I get 10.
Good deal. I like that.
So actually, this I get nine because the seller's gonna get six because it's 21 out of the 30. So my difference is the spread. And normally you would do it outright, but this one was a little different just because of the he was
The
financing.
tree.
Yeah, the tree. So we secured the owner with a deed of trust that if for some reason the buyer bumps his head and doesn't pay for 2 or more months consecutive, they can immediately foreclose on the property, get it back, and keep all the cash that's been paid towards it. But it solves two problems. They get
Yeah,
rid of a house. They don't have to worry about the city sending them notices
I like
anymore.
that.
They relieved of the tax burden.
Yeah, that's right.
My investor gets another property to flip. He
Mhm.
likes stuff like this. And they have a monthly cash flow now for the next 32 months, I
I
believe, of
love it.
$500 a month, in addition to getting 5,000 cash.
I love it. I
And
love it.
at closing on tomorrow, I'll get
Right.
nine.
Lunch will be on council tomorrow. For
and,
anybody that comes by, lunch on count.
and my deal finder who sent me the house will get a spread as well. He'll get 10% of that. He'll get a little bit more because
Yeah.
what we worked out, but
Yeah.
typically it's 10% of the
Yeah.
spread.
And a couple of great things that come to mind. Number one is that deal find. His very first deal, a young guy who had tried before but didn't have success because he didn't plug into a system. He didn't. And when counsel met him, finally they got around to the right questions.
Yep.
And when the guy found the answers, he was able to find it. And the overall principle I like is this when you learn to solve your problems, that's how you create money. But when you solve the problems of others, that's how you create wealth. That's a problem because that homeowner thought, who in the world's going to want my house? A tree has fallen through, the elements have damaged it, whatever. And that's why we're going to teach you through Bridging the Gap how to solve, first of all, your problems and then the problems of others. Because you first of all going to learn how to create cash flow and then finally learn how to build wealth.
And that's all real estate investing now is to
Mhm.
me, is just solving problems.
Yeah,
You got to find them and then find a solution to merge the two together.
I got you, man.
So my homeowner had a problem. My flipper investor had a problem too. He needed a property.
Yeah.
I found a solution, introduced him, and
Hmm.
like who was it? Herbert Bailey, Pastor Herbert Bailey down in
Uh-huh.
South Carolina. He said one time, even the pipe get wet. So I mean, as long as you are fair to people
Well said.
and help them find what they need, you'll profit too.
I
So
got you. I believe it. No doubt about that.
yes, sir. But yeah, real estate investing right now, like I said, wholesaling is pretty big with a lot of people who are in real estate. I got a fix and flip we're doing right now, and then of course we're still working on that one at Thomasville
I
too.
got you, man.
So, but yeah, it's easy. It's easy. It's been less than a month since he sent me that property. You know, he'll get paid off sending me a picture and an address.
I love it. And all those things you guys are going to learn. Like I said, it's easy for us to want to jump into that. Everybody's doing that. But again, we're really focused in bridging the gap on the common person, common man, common woman, to give you a system. And I remember years ago reading a book that says the deal of a lifetime comes around at least once a week.
Yep.
So don't feel like if you take 3 months or 6 months to learn and invest in your financial literacy, that you're missing something. We want to help you develop a foundation so that what you learn in 2020, 2021 will help even your children and your children's children. Be patient. You're going to learn how to do what Council just said.
And that makes sense too, because I remember when I first started, I had a 14 unit property under contract. Again, I'm credit sucked, didn't have no cash. It was 12 or 14, I can't remember
Mhm.
to be exact. But I had it for 325,000. And I knew it was a deal. So I was trying to assign it or
Yeah.
wholesale it for
Yeah.
375. talking about 50,000 spread. At first, I was at 400.
I remember.
But was talking to a few investors. I didn't really have a cash buyers list. I didn't have a system. I'm
Mhm.
just literally out there fishing, and I couldn't move it. A week later, after my contract expired, it sold for 400,000.
Mm,
That taught me two things. Number one, I needed a better cash buyers
good
list.
point.
But number two, I knew I had a deal
Well, there you go. That's
because a
good.
week later it sold for the same price I was asking for.
Hmm.
I just didn't know how to meet that buyer.
I got you. I
And
got you.
again, like I said, I thought I missed because that was like a deal of a lifetime.
Hmm.
But I've had better things
Yeah,
come,
that's it.
and since then. So I mean, it's a learning process. Had I had the system,
That's right.
excuse me, the knowledge that I have now, I could have moved it,
I
but
got
I
you.
didn't.
But you got it now. All
Exactly.
right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
All right. Hey, the next thing, let's talk about business. Let's talk about business. Remember, when we talk about business, we're not talking about a brick and mortar. That's sort of old school. It could be something online. It could be a real estate business. It could be an investment business. So again, don't think of brick and mortar. Think of anything, product or service that you offer. And here are the questions I ask myself. I want you to ask yourself. Number one, is this business scalable? And scalable means, can it grow with unlimited potential? See, I don't want to start a business where $100,000 is my cap. I mean, no matter how hard I work, the most I'm going to make is 100,000.
Yeah.
That's wasting your time.
Yeah.
But you really want to ask, okay, though I may make 100,000 the first year, the next year, can I maybe do 150, 200,000? The next year, can I get to a million or 2 million? So that's what scalable says. Can this thing grow to surpass my potential?
Hmm.
Next question. He said it earlier. Does it have systems? In other words, I can be in Aruba, I can be in Hawaii, I can be wherever I want to be. I'm sorry, I just got a notification I made some money. And really, I didn't, but it happens all the time. Every morning I wake up, while I'm sleeping, revenues are coming in. Is it tens of thousands of dollars? No, but it's something by God's grace that equals and exceeds at least six figures a year,
Hmm.
but it's all automated. That's what we're talking about here. And I think here's a key point. Does your product and service have what we call old school a unique selling proposition? Now,
Hmm.
you all probably call it something different now, but we're trying to figure out what makes you unique and different from any other flipper, any other retail store, any other web designer.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And the
Yeah.
final thing is, with your present business model and the tweaks that you're going to make, will you still be relevant in 10 years? And a quick sidebar. And again, I thank God for Council. Without him and a few more millennials, guys, my business would not have been relevant now during the COVID. Okay. It would not have been relevant. And therefore, I had a good model, but my model was good for the time we were in. My model was not good for COVID. My model was not going to let me succeed as everybody went online. And therefore, I knew that. And that's why it was critical for me to find hungry, focused millennials who could teach me about what the future looks like. And now I believe we're relevant and becoming more and more relevant because of the standpoint we tweaked our business model and now we're scalable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I was looking, I'm always
Always looking. You're right
looking
about
for something.
that.
I ran across an ad for, believe it or not, somebody was running selling an ebook for Black Friday on how to start a vending machine business.
Uh-huh.
Net about, I think, make about $500 a week per vending machine. How you can get started for a vending machine for less than like 1,500.
Yeah.
And I thought about it for about 30 minutes, and I was like, man, I do not want to have to drive around the city restocking
That's right.
vending machines 2-3 times a week.
Mhm.
Even though it may can work,
Yeah.
but just I thought about the scalability of that. Like,
Good point.
I don't have the time to
Yeah.
worry about inventory and vending machines that obviously you need to produce the revenue. So
Yeah. Or even I modify what he said a little bit. Not so much you have the time, but there are other things that you can invest that time in that are more scalable.
absolutely.
You know, and that goes back to asking yourself the question, do I settle for spending 10 hours a week to make $500 a week and it's capped? Or do I take that same 10 hours and try to find something that has no cap to it and unlimited potential? Those are the kind of questions you have to make. And that's why people have to work on cash flow, because that 500 a week could mesmerize and cause some people to say, I've arrived, I made it, there's no more in life. Well, that's a seed to maybe help you eliminate debt. It's a seed to learn how to do the basic business model, but it needs to find a way to build your future, because we want everything you do to be scalable or have the potential to grow to exceed your potential.
Yeah, and I won't go too deep into this one, but I'm still on the trucks.
Okay, okay, all
Yeah,
right. Talk to us. What you got on the trucks, man? You,
man.
you gonna buy you a Ford 150 or something,
No,
or
no,
what?
no, no, no. I'm talking about the trucking,
Okay,
the 18 wheelers,
okay,
semis. The more and more homework I do on them, the more and more I like it. I
okay.
mean, I know it's not a chunk of change, but it's really hands off.
I got you.
So w- once I get a few things situated, I'm gonna try to get me a couple trucks within the next quarter.
Good deal. And that sounds good. And that's when the whole thing, and we're going to talk about it down the road, life management.
Yeah.
Life management, having systems, and having a team. And
Yep.
again, I remember, and you've heard me say this before, when you get a team, if you can help your team members make money now for you, they will build for you an asset that you never could have built on your own. So you need to ask yourself the question, who do I need on my team to help me reach my full potential? And it's just amazing what that question does.
Yep.
And it causes your mind to go to another level. And once you find the right team, people, it's over. It's over.
Agreed 100%. And the last one I believe in the questions that need answers is investments.
Investments, one of my favorite ones. Here it is. We're talking about whether it's investment really right now, probably in the stock market. Of course, investments can be the trucking company, can be real estate deals, etc. But right now, just going to sort of focus in on the stock market. And here are the 3 or 4 questions I ask myself. Are the earnings of this company, are they growing in a way that this stock can explode? And again, an example of that is Tesla. Right now, Tesla is going crazy.
Man.
And I need to hold my head when I say that. 2 years ago, I bought Tesla at $75 a share, and I
Oh,
sold it for 150 a share.
oh. What's it going there now?
It's at 550, and I think that's after a split.
Wow.
So in other words, it's but let's move on. But anyway, but the key thing is don't fool with penny stocks. You're looking for stocks that have growing earn. And when I bought Tesla, Tesla was losing billions of dollars a year. And now they're maybe making, I'm going to say 50 cents a share.
Mm-hmm.
But one day they're going to make probably 5, 10, maybe $100 a share. That's why the price is exploding. The other thing is the stock, is it undervalued? Sometimes I'm looking for what's called a value stock,
Mm-hmm.
where I know a good example is Pfizer. I got Pfizer at about 28 bucks. I knew Pfizer was undervalued, one of the larger pharmaceuticals. And now Pfizer is worth about 41 bucks. And again, but that's about a 50% increase
Mm-hmm.
in a stock that you knew was not going down, and not to mention the dividends. It's undervalued. And then you have to know the general direction of the market.
Right.
Okay. Because 75% of stocks are going to go the way of the market. But just staying here with us, folks, we're going to spend a couple of broadcasts, a couple of podcasts talking about investment, but you got to ask the right questions across the board.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to those. I haven't dived in much as far as what you're doing with
Yeah,
covered calls and things like that. So I met an investor that's all he does is that in real estate.
I
So
got you, man.
I'm excited to learn it and plug in and
Oh, yeah, man.
see how it goes.
It's out there for anybody. And
Absolutely.
again, it doesn't matter what your degree is or your age, etc. Even like Joy Victoria, she's home now.
Mm-hmm.
And she, her first lesson in stock was we taught her how to find growing stocks.
Mm-hmm.
She's done very well there. Her portfolio is growing. Now she's going to start this week and next week learning how to sell puts, because she says, Daddy, I need some cash flow now. And she sort of paused. And I said, well, I'm not going to give it to you. She said, I know that. I'm just sort of waiting on your answer. I said, well, let's say here are a couple of options. And I think selling puts is the way to go. So she's going to start learning to sell puts probably this week. And that will be some cash flow over the holidays, in school, and definitely the summer months.
George to 18.
18 years old.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's okay to get the summer job and
Yeah.
work at Chick-fil-A and my first job at Food Line, but I
Mhm.
want to be able to teach my Caleb Chandler, my boys, how to do something that regardless of the economy, regardless of what's
There you
happening,
go, man.
they can make money.
You must have been in our household last night. We had the talk last night about that. And Joe Victoria made the statement. She says, I don't want to work at Walmart. And my question to her was, so what are you going to do not to work at Walmart? And she began to say, I'm going to learn some of the things that you guys do at the office because she recognized that all of us don't have jobs and we just sort of come and go as we want to. But she knows God's blessed us money. So she wants to learn those things. And there's a lot of things that your 18-year-old, your oldest son is how old?
8.
He's 8. Okay. There's some things at 8 that he can begin to learn about real estate and other things. And I think even you guys play Monopoly yet?
Yes, we do.
Well, good deal, good deal. But the whole thing is don't put age restrictions, whether on the low end or the high end. There's ways out there we're going to teach you how to create cash flow to build wealth. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. So I know man, I don't know how long we've been going, but I think we're over our 20-minute cap,
All right, all right.
25 minutes. But that was a good one. I like that episode 6, questions and demand answers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything you want to add or close out with?
I'm just going to say make sure you pass the word around about what we're doing in this podcast. And also, next week, we're going to talk about conforming to sound financial principles. We're
Yep.
going to deal with mindset.
Gotcha.
I mean, and mindset. I'll leave you this. The only limitation you have in life is how you think. I need you to please write that down. We're going to deal with that. The only limitation that you have in life is how you think. We're going to stretch your mind in ways that has never been stretched before. And you're going to see new you and new potential starting with a new podcast coming your way.
I'm gonna get deep on them. You can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that you use to create it.
All right. Listen to me. I tell you, boy.
I
Oh,
pay
goodness.
attention, man. I pay
All
attention.
right. That's good, man. That's good.
But thanks, guys, for wrapping up episode 6. If you haven't already, we are on Google Podcasts currently, as well as Spotify. Waiting on Apple to approve us, but I will make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, the links are below. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you listen to us on Google Podcasts or Spotify, thank you. Please subscribe and share it with some friends. And very shortly, hopefully next podcast we'll have a email where you can email us questions, and we'll take some time out prior to the episode to answer some of those questions and give the lesson. I mean, we have great ideas, great content that we want to provide, but we also want to make sure that if it's something that you want to know, that
That's true.
we're addressing that. But for episode 6, that's a wrap, man.
Good deal, man. Thanks, Count.
Yes, sir. You guys have a good one.
Great day.